Good morning. This is Rick Rollins. It's January 30th of 2016. We're here at the former Monongahela Connecting Railroad Roundhouse in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in the middle of what used to be the Jones & Laughlin Steel Pittsburgh Works. I'll give you a little overview of what used to be here. Of course, this roundhouse served the Monongahela Connecting Railroad, which was owned by J&L but was a common carrier. And it provided most of the rail operations here in the plant. Now, the J&L Pittsburgh Works consisted of, it was a integrated steel plant that had 5 blast furnaces, an open hearth plant, electric furnaces, Bessemer converters, and pretty much made flat rolled bars, also structurals, all sorts of other products here at Pittsburgh. The plant started in the 1870s when they first started here, and the plant was on both sides of the river. So if we look across the river there to the south side, that was called Southside Works. And on that side is where the steelmaking furnaces were located. Number 1, number 2 open hearth, number 3 open hearth, the electric furnace later on, and then there were Bessemer converters. Now, you can see that bridge off in the distance. It's called the Hot Metal Bridge now. There's actually 2 bridges there. A double track span for the Monongahela Connecting and a single track span for the hot metal runs. The blast furnaces would have been located directly behind this building, between the building and the bridge. The 5 furnaces, and on the other side of where the bridge went across, but on this side of the river, was the hot strip mill, other flat rolled mills, and a galvanizing plant. And the galvanizing plant still in operation as GalvTech. Now, going across the river, when the Monongahela Connecting came over, now on this side here where that large building is where the number 3 open hearth and the electric furnace was located there. Now, a little bit further on, there's a kind of a red brick building there straight ahead. That was the oldest part of the plant. Now, that is where the 23-inch gauge operations was located at. So that's where the J&L 58 would have operated at, in that general vicinity. And number 2 open hearth is down there, and the 58 and its sisters would have mainly served the open hearth with you know, the ingot teaming operation and ingot stripping and moving that material around. And also served what they called the polishing mill and some of the other plant. That was the oldest part of the plant. Now, back on this side of the river, as I spin around, you can see a building off in the distance. That was the 19 mill, and beyond it was the coke plant. Now, the 19 mill and the Moncon Roundhouse are the last 2 J&L buildings, well, with the exception of GalvTech, that are still in existence here at Pittsburgh Works. You know, all of this property here is being redeveloped, so it's unknown at this point what this will look like, but I'm sure it will look much different than it does now. So there you go, basically an overview of the Pittsburgh Works. Hope you like our little video today, and stay tuned for more updates on the J&L 58 project. Thanks. Well, here we are in the 19 mill at the J&L Pittsburgh Works. This building contained a rolling mill for making bar shapes, smaller shapes. I'm not sure at this point exactly what the product mix that came out of this building, but the material flow would have come in from that end and going down, heading towards Pittsburgh. The billets that came into this mill would have came in from the next bay over, and then come through the wall into heating furnaces, and then from the heating furnaces to the rolling mills themselves, which were on the floor here in this general area. Now, the building is Well, from where we're standing to the end of the building is probably about a third of the total length of the building. But all of the rolling mills and all the rolling activity in the metal forming happened here. The bar mills don't need very much space in order to do its thing. What you needed a lot of space for in these buildings was for the for cooling beds and then shipping. So when you brought a billet in, it was maybe 20 feet long, and when it came out of that mill, it was probably, oh, it could be 100, could be 200 feet long. You had to have enough space in order for that piece of 200-foot long steel to come out and to cool down from rolling temperature down to ambient temperature, you know, in a straight line. So once the bar came out, got onto the cooling beds, would cool down, and then go through shears to be cut down into whatever length, usually 20 or 40-foot lengths, that was coming out. And then those pieces were bundled together and then taken down to the far end where they were stockpiled for shipment. And they brought rail cars in or trucks to load those, you know, load the products for shipment out of the building. This is pretty much a standard configuration for a rolling mill building. Now, there isn't very much here to tell us that how the operations happened in this building, but there are some clues. Behind that wall is a two-story addition to the building, and you can see that's where there were some electrical control equipment in that area. So that tells me the motors must have been down this end for the rolling mill, because you have the electrical control equipment in that side bay.